Welcome to the bidexpress.com Internet Bidding webinar. In today's webinar, I'll be covering the getting started and website navigation. We're going to cover registration, managing your business, downloading the sign tool, creating an Infotech digital ID. I will also cover internet bidding and best practices, searching for a solicitation, selecting a solicitation for bidding, filling out a solicitation, and finally bid submission and bid withdrawal. First, let's navigate to our website. This is located at www.bidexpress.com. I will also like to advise you to use the Internet Explorer browser 9 or higher. We're going to be doing some heavy encryption, and only the internet browser can actually support it. So again, you want to be in IE 9 or higher. The first thing that we need to do is we need to register our business. This is at no cost to you. It is a free registration. So let's go ahead and click on the register button at the top right. This brings us to our form. Let me cover a couple of the options that you see here on the right hand side. So while registration is free, internet bidding is going to cost. You have two options for internet bidding. If you're only bidding seasonally or not more than one bid a month, you probably want to choose the pay-as-you-go. The pay-as-you-go option allows you to purchase a solicitation. Once you locate it, you purchase it for $25. The system will allow you to submit as many times as needed only for that particular solicitation, and we will also turn on the email notifications for that solicitation so that you could be alerted about any changes that the agency may make to that particular solicitation. However, if your business is anticipating doing a lot more bidding or would like to have the convenience of email notifications, you can opt for the monthly subscription. The monthly subscription does allow you to bid at any time for as many solicitations per month as you like. You also have the ability to turn on email notifications for a particular agency that you work a lot with. You can also turn on notifications based on NIGP classification codes. And again, this one is at $50 a month. And the way this one is charged is it's going to be charging you every month the exact same day that you signed up. So if you sign up the 15th of the month, then every 15th of the following months, you will see a $50 charge. This is not tying you to a contract. You're welcome to cancel at any time. I would suggest that you remember exactly when you turned on the monthly subscription. And if you cancel the day before, then you'll avoid getting charged. So let's go ahead and enter your information. So you'll need to enter your name, your last name. Now this is important that you enter it correctly, and I say correctly because you want to make sure that you're not using abbreviations here and things of that nature, particularly if you have submitted your name to the agency, your legal name, that you want to make sure that the name here does match what the agency has in terms of your information. You'll also need a unique email address. The website communicates with you via email. So every time you submit a bid, every time you withdraw a bid, you are going to be getting an email confirmation with that information. So you do want to make sure that you have a good email address, that you do have access to it. You're going to need to enter a password. Now, because this is a business account, we have the highest requirement for password security. So that means you're going to need to enter at least 8 characters, an uppercase, a lowercase, a symbol, and a number. You're going to have to confirm your password. Next, we're going to have to select a question. So again, I'm going to go ahead and select what is my favorite animal. I do recommend that if you select, or my favorite mascot, but if you select the other one that was what was my favorite animal, please don't enter dog or cat. That is not as secure. So make sure that you are selecting a question and then that your answer is really unique to you, so that it's not easily accessible by anyone. Okay. I have a feeling that my passwords may not match. I'm looking at it and I don't think the characters are right. So let me go ahead and re-enter that because it will not let me move forward if it's not correct. Here we go. Next, you're going to go ahead and register your business. So go ahead and enter your business name exactly how you have submitted it to the agency. Again, you don't want to use any type of abbreviations here because this is going to be used later on for some other aspects of the website. So again, you want to make sure that the business name is a formal business name as your register. Go ahead and enter your phone number. Go ahead and enter the address. The city. Go ahead and select your state and enter your postal code. And then you're going to click the register button. Okay, so I've clicked register, and one of the things that the website is going to do to help you out is to search for any businesses that could potentially be your business. In other words, perhaps another team member of your business signed up and you just weren't aware of it. So what it's doing is looking for any characters within the company name as well as the address that are vastly similar. So as we can see, there are 12 businesses that are similar names and similar addresses. So just scroll down to see if you see your actual name. We do see that Raquel Land does exist. So if you ever run into this situation, what you'll need to do is request an invitation. What this does, it sends an email to the actual manager of that business, and then they'll be able to invite you. What you don't want to do, you don't want to create new business if your business already exists, because what that's going to do is it's going to create a duplicate account. And as you'll see a little bit ahead here in the webinar, I'm going to show you how an agency can actually have a bid via invitation only, which means that the agency is going to go through our system and select your company name. So if your company name with the address has several entries, that could be confusing for the agency in terms of which one to select. So again, I want to make sure that when you're registering, if this pop-up does come up, read it carefully, request for the invitation. If it doesn't come up, that means you indeed are not registered. But if it does come up and you realize that this is just another company in town and you're aware of that your names are similar, go ahead and click the Create New Business button. Okay, so for today's example, we're going to go ahead and do that. So a message with a confirmation link has been sent to your email address. Please click the link to activate your account. So we're going to go ahead and navigate to our email address. All right, so we can see here, this is our welcoming email. It's going to give me the activate account link. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link because we do need to be in the Internet Explorer browser. So I'm going to go ahead and paste it out here. You could click on it if you wanted to. Again, if you click on it and you have set your Chrome browser as your main browser, it's going to take you to a different browser. So here, what I have done is I've copied and pasted that activation link to ensure that I am still on the Internet Explorer browser. I'm going to go ahead and enter my password that I just created for the account so that I can go ahead and activate the account. All right, as soon as I log in, I'm given the subscriber agreement. So we do have to read this. Now for today's exercise, I'm not going to go through and read the entire subscriber agreement, but I do recommend that you do read it and understand what you're agreeing to in terms of internet bid submission and different policies that we have. Now, you do have to scroll all the way down so that our little button is now clickable. Otherwise, it will not allow you to click on it, okay? Once you have agreed to it, then you can click Start using BidExpress. All right, so we are now at our BidExpress main home tab. So the home tab here serves as a purpose of letting us know what type of business we're doing, what type of solicitations we have, whether they're completed or not. So right now it's blank because this is the first time that we're logging in. So this calendar down the road, as you are adding solicitations, you'll see a list in here of those solicitations, and you can even click on the date of any through your calendar to look at any solicitations that you have selected for bidding. at the bottom of the page, we do have all the agencies listed, so you do have the ability to actually find an agency and click on it to view their information on bidexpress.com. I'm going to scroll back up. I do want to point out a couple of things here. We do have Infotech Digital ID, and we do have electronic signatures available through our website. Depending on the solicitation, each solicitation will have a little symbol. So if you see this symbol, it looks like a little thumbprint. This is for the digital ID. It means that it requires a digital ID, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what that is here coming soon. If you see like this, I call it the doctor's signature. This is basically requesting an electronic signature. Okay, so it does not require anything other than you actually signing the document at the time of bid submission. And again, we'll cover that a little bit more in detail coming up soon. First, I want to give you just a general glance and navigation of the website. So again, this is our home tab. The solicitations tab, this is where all the jobs are located. So in the solicitations tab, you are going to have the ability to search at the very top. You can search by the actual owner agency's name, by the number of the solicitation, a code, or a description. We do have these three little lines right here that allow you to do a more thorough search. Right now it's set to not close, but maybe you want to search for a solicitation in the past. You can click on the arrow here and select that you want to look for closed solicitations or any of the solicitations out there. You can also select a deadline date range as well, and then click the search button, and it'll search through everything that's out there. Again, the way that this is listed is by columns. We have the number column. The number is also known as the name of the solicitation. Okay, so this is the number column. The deadline, you can click the arrow if you want to. So it's going to change the way the deadlines are set up for you. Oops. And you have the owner agency column. Again, if you want to click on the actual owner agency to see who they are, you can do that. I also want to alert you on a little banner that we see here, free. Some agencies pay for you to actually submit a bid, and if that is the case, you will see the banner free next to those solicitations, so keep that in mind. If you don't see it, I do want to remind you that each solicitation would be $25, and if you have the monthly subscription, then you're paying $50 for the unlimited number of bids, okay? We do have the bids tab. When I click on it, it's going to be blank right now because we've not selected anything for bidding. So the bids tab will contain anything that you click on and you select for bidding. We have the My Profile tab. Here is where you actually manage your business. You will notice that you have a user section. Say that I invite another fellow team member. I will see them listed here, and I will be able to, at the bottom here, they will also be listed, and I will be able to change their role. So please keep in mind, when you invite folks to your business, they're automatically set to an executive manager. It is a fancy title, but it's actually a read only. So unless you come to the profile tab here and change their role from executive manager to a bidder or a manager on the bidding side of the house, they will not be able to submit a bid or do anything other than just view the information. So keep that in mind. Again, that's located in the My Profile tab. We do have the Contact Us tab, again, with our phone number and information. And I'll go over that with you here at the end so that you can take notes if needed on the phone number and email address to call us. I do want to point out to you how to manage your account before we get into internet bidding. So here we see at the top right the My Account link. Go ahead and click on it. This takes us to where you actually manage your account. If it's the first time that you're there, we're going to walk you through a little tutorial so you can see how to best use all of the buttons that are here for you. So again, the edit, you're going to click here to make changes to your account profile. Got it. Invite employees. Allow your employees to join this account by sending them an email. Got it. So these are the two most important things. Now I'm going to go ahead and click edit for you. And I want to read something very important at the very top. By updating the first name, last name, or business name, you will be required to create a new Infotech Digital ID. So let's say that we have created our Digital ID. And let's say that I have a business name change. Okay. let's say that from land it went to flower. Once I update this, if I had already created a digital ID, it would invalidate that ID, not allow me to do internet bidding until a new one is created. So please notate that if you ever have a business change, name change, or perhaps your name or last name may be changing, certainly give us a call and we can assist you to ensure that you are creating a brand new ID once you make those changes to the account. If you change your phone number, your time zone, make sure your time zone is correct. Mine is set to Eastern Time. Always check your time zone to make sure that it is the correct time zone as to where you're located. Again, if you change your city postal code, it's not going to invalidate the digital ID, only the business name field, the first and last name field. Once you make your updates, you click update and you are done. Again, to invite employees, this is the most important. Once you get in here, make sure you invite anyone that you want them to be involved in internet bidding, whether it be to review, just to have access to it. Go ahead and click the invite button, and you'll be able to enter as many email address line by line, and then click the invite employees. When you do that, this is going to send them an email, much like the one I received that you just saw, with an activation link. And once they activate it, don't forget to go to the My Profile tab so that you can go ahead and change their actual role. And by the way, the system is going to send you an email when they do accept the invitation so that you can make those changes. Next, I do want to talk to you about a couple of the tabs here on the left-hand side. We do have the Digital ID tab, and we'll be talking about internet bidding and digital IDs. So a digital ID is a tool that is used for heavy encryption that will sign, encrypt, and submit the bid to the servers. So again, there are many of our solicitations here on bidexpress.com that require this type of security because of the type of bid that it is. There are other bids that may not require that type of security, but is still quite secure as well. It's going to be using an electronic signature. So again, that's different from the digital ID. So my advice to you is, because you're going to be doing bidding with multiple agencies, go ahead and create that digital ID and have it ready to go just in case you ever bid with an agency that does require it. Because again, requiring the electronic signature is just when you sign a document at that moment. So there's no creation for the electronic signature, but you do have to create the digital ID. So we're going to come back to it to create it here in just a moment. We do have a payment section. Remember that I told you if you're in the pay as you go or a subscriber, you will see all that information here. Again, this is just a mirror of production, so we're not going to be entering any credit card information in today's webinar. But in the real website, you will be able to enter that and again acquire a subscription if you wish. And we do have a section for notices. So anytime we have a notice, an update or an enhancement, a new feature, you can always navigate to the notices section to see what's new out there. We're going to come back to the digital ID, and I'm going to go ahead and click the Create New BidExpress Digital ID. So first is asking me to select an agency in which you intend to do business. So again, the idea here is that you can scroll down and find the agency. Say that you anticipate doing business with a couple of agencies. You don't have to select all of them. At least one will get you through this step. But if you can select all the ones that you know for sure you're starting out with, that will be most helpful. Once you select it, go ahead and click on Next. Number 2, we're going to go ahead and generate that digital ID. Again, remember how I told you that the very beginning, make sure that your business and the name that you enter when you register is correct because it's going to be utilized later on. This is how we utilize this. So we're going to create a digital ID for Raquel for the business Raquel Flower. I'm thinking this is all correct, so I'm going to click Submit. Oh, I'm getting an error message. Now, I did this on purpose because we did talk about in our agenda that we'll be downloading the Sign tool. A Sign tool is basically adding ActiveX controls to your browser, your Internet Explorer browser, that allows you to use heavy encryption. Now, we had not gone through this, so I wanted to show you that if you forget a step, no worries, we're going to really help you along the way. So let's go ahead and click here because we do need to add it before we can actually create a digital ID. So here it says download the install below. Close all browser windows after you click download. So we're going to have to download it. Once we download it, at the bottom of the page, it's asking us, do you want to run our safe? Go ahead and click run. Okay, most computers will allow you to run. You do need administrative access, not full administrative access, but you need some. So if any of you, when you click run, it's not allowing you or it gives you the access denied, feel free to give us a call and we'll be more than happy to assist you further at that point. But I guess most of you will be able to quickly go through it. So once the installation is done, notice that my Internet Explorer browser automatically closed, and that is correct behavior. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the actual website. I'm going to have to click the login button one more time. Let me just get to the right website because there we go. I'm going to go ahead and click login. And again, I have to remember what my email address was. Now, if you want, we do have a remember me option. It's going to remember your email address. It will not remember your password. For security purposes, we don't store the password. That way you are prompted to enter each time. That way we can ensure that indeed it's you logging in, not someone else. If you save it at the browser level, that is at your discretion. We don't recommend it. But again, we per se will not save the password, just the email address. Okay. Now that we're logged back in, we're back to where we left off. And notice that before we had a little sign-in tool. Notice here, that's gone. We only have the Generate Digital ID. So let's go ahead and click on Generate Digital ID. Create that new BidExpress Digital ID. Again, it's going to ask us to select the agencies that we intend to bid to. So select all the agencies that you're going to be bidding to. Click Next. Verify that the information is correct. If it's not, you would need to click Cancel and change everything at the My Account level up here to the left. Since everything is correct, I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. Okay. Notice it's loading for me. And yes, everyone that wants to do bidding will need to create a digital ID. So make sure that after you invite the employees, you do remind them to go in there and create their digital ID. So this is a unique thumbprint. This is what we call the public key that our customer support team would need to go ahead and enable your ID. So once you have it, we're going to back up the ID. Now, my recommendation is to back up the digital ID in a media outside of this computer. For example, a thumb drive or a server somewhere that you can access from any computer that's secure. Go ahead and enter a password for the actual file. There are no character requirements here, so don't make it too complicated because you're really not going to be importing this digital ID really on a daily basis, but maybe once in a blue moon. So you want to make sure that you do remember the password. I'm going to go ahead and verify it, and I'm going to click OK. Now, for the sake of this webinar today, I'm going to put it on my desktop, but we're going to pretend this is like a thumb drive, okay? Because if my computer crashes and I don't have this file outside of this computer, then I have to go through the motions of creating a new one. So keep that in mind. And depending on how quickly you need to bid, this could be very stressful. So we want to make sure that you have this file somewhere safe outside of this computer that you're working on. And notice that the name is called Infotech Express Digital ID. So if we have multiple folks bidding, all the file names are going to be the same. So again, we recommend that you add your name to the file, maybe the date if you wanted to, or the year at least. Feel free to add whatever you like, just to make sure that you can indeed distinguish your ID as well as the most updated ID from anybody else's. Once you do that, go ahead and click Save. We're going to go ahead and click Next. Our last step is to print our registration form. This form must be signed in front of a notary. It does have to be properly notarized and sent in to the customer support team for processing. So again, it does have the instructions here. We do provide in step 2, we do provide our mailing address. So make sure that you sign here in the line, you enter your title, and you do so in front of a notary. The notary will need to fill out all this information down here, and depending on the state where it's being notarized, the notary will be held accountable to the state statutes. So if you are not sure what those are, or you have any concern, feel free to scan the notarized page and send it in for review. Our team is happy to review it for you, let you know if there are any concerns in terms of what the state requires for the notary, so that way you can make those corrections before you mail it in. We must receive the original document in order for us to be able to enable this ID. So again, I always recommend that you track it in some way. You can send it regular mail, but that's out of our hands and out of your hands. It's up to the mail to get to us, and that could certainly take a week. It could take 2 weeks if there are holidays or any weather delays. So at least if you track it in some way, you don't have to overnight it, but if you have a good tracking for it, you'll know exactly where it's at and how soon we might be getting it. All right. So once we're done, we're going to click the Finish button. So you are still under the My Account section. So again, remember, when you're under My Account, there's no bidding. It's just managing your account, inviting employees. So we have at the top left the 3 little bars here. This is called Universal Menu. So if you click on it, we now can select Bid Express, and we'll go back to the actual Bid Express website. Okay. Notice that our red kind of went away, but now we see a new blue where it says Print, Notarize, and Mail Registration Form. When this digital ID is actually approved, this will go away and we will see it as already approved. All right, so we have done everything that we need to do to this point to get ready for internet bidding for anything digital ID related. Again, for electronic signatures, you're all set. You can submit bid solicitations that use electronic signatures, and this is the actual icon for it. So for today's webinar, I do have a particular solicitation that we're going to be using so that I can show you what it looks like to fill out a solicitation and do bid submission. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Solicitations tab. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to my search bar, and I'm going to put the word sample because that's how I named it. And once I do that, it's going to go ahead and look for anything that has the word sample. So notice the description here says sample, so that's why this one came up. It's from Iowa State University. And then we have the sample one that I have created, solicitation sample. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the one that I'm looking for. And again, notice it's telling you that a digital ID is required. It doesn't mean that you don't have a digital ID. It's just telling you what this solicitation requires, okay? This very top section is going to tell you whether you have what's required or not. And we have it. It just has not been enabled just yet, okay? So a couple of things that I want to show you here at the top right. We can add ourselves to the plan holders list. So maybe you're not bidding as a prime. Maybe you just want to be added to the plan holders list. You can just click on that button. Once you know you want to select it for bidding, because you do want to do internet bid submission, you are going to click the select for bidding. Before I do that, I do want to show you, like I mentioned before, this is absolutely at no cost to you. You will have the ability to see everything for this solicitation. You'll be able to download any attachments associated with it. So if I click on this attachment, you'll see that at the bottom it's asking me whether I want to open or save it. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it. I just wanted to show you that you do have full access to the solicitation and to any documents that are provided here prior to you actually paying for the solicitation. Okay? So since I know that this is the bid that I absolutely am going to be bidding for, I'm going to go ahead and click Select for Bidding. All right? Once I click Select for Bidding, notice that I went from the Solicitations tab to the Bids tab. So once you select something for bidding, if you were in the actual live site, it would prompt you for payment if you're not on a monthly subscription, and you will go through that payment. I apologize that I cannot show you this today because we're on a special demo site here. But again, keep that in mind that in production, you would be prompted to pay that $25 if you're on a pay-as-you-go. All right. I want to show you the most important thing here is at the top left, the estimating remaining we have 3 days and 22 hours left. When it gets to 24 hours, this is going to start counting down for you by second. So you definitely want to make sure that you're aware of how much time you have left so that you don't miss not submitting your bid in a timely manner. Once this time is 0, you will not be able to submit your bid if the deadline is closed. Also, we have a status bar here. Right now it's orange. It's telling me the bid status is incomplete and submission status has not been submitted. When you complete the bid and you submit the bid, it'll go to blue. So we always want this bar to be blue to submit our bid. And I'm going to show you also other things that you can do to check your bid. So let's scroll down and start looking at the actual bid. We do see that we have a total field up here. So as we fill things out, it's going to keep a total for us. We have the submit bid button. We have the save draft. Notice I can't click on it because I have not entered any information. We have the check bid button, so I can click to check my bid for completeness. I have the way of archiving. Say that I no longer want to view this bid, or perhaps we decided not to bid on it, or perhaps you already bid on it and it's been weeks, so I want to take it out of my active view. I can archive it. Think of it as a library. Just because you archive it doesn't mean that it goes away. You do have access to your archives and you can always bring it back to your bids tab whenever you need to. We do have import and export buttons, and I'm going to talk to you about this here in just a moment once I fill some of this out for you. The agency has the ability to provide you with advertisement notes. It looks like this agency is providing us notes every time they do an addenda. They add a note, so we do know that there's addenda number 1 already for this particular bid. We do have a view Q&A, so it looks like this agency is providing us with the ability to ask a question. So when you click on Q&A, this actually takes you to a field where you can actually add a question and click the submit button. This goes directly to the agency member. They'll be able to research it for you, provide you an answer, and when they do, they can publish that, and anyone who selects this for bidding can take a look at that question and answer. So again, this is at the discretion of the agency. You may not see this in every solicitation. So the general information does tell us the deadline, when it was advertised, when it was revised. It's giving us the agency's name, the solicitation number, the description of the solicitation, and it's telling us whether the agency is allowing 0 for unit prices and labor, and they are, as well as are they allowing negative unit prices, and they are. Okay, so let's scroll down, just take a look at the actual solicitation. First, we have the attachment list. Again, the agency can provide as many attachments and PDFs, Excels, whatever type of documents. The idea is that perhaps you'll need these documents to fill out the rest of the solicitation, so you do want to click on them and view them. And you can save them to your local computer or leave them there. They're always going to be available to you. Our first component here is called the required document list. This component, what it's asking you is to upload an actual document. So it looks like here the agencies wants us to upload the access agreement. So it's saying print form. So notice that the access agreement is here at the top. Print form from the attachment list and complete. So you can click here to see everything, complete and upload. Okay, so once you click this, you download it, you fill it out, you save it onto your desktop or any folder file, wherever you like. Once you're ready to upload it, you would click select file. This takes us to our dialog box where we can look for the actual file on the computer. I'm going to go ahead and go to the desktop. And I'm going to look for my I agree document. I'm going to click the highlighted blue and I'm going to click open. Okay. Once it's uploaded, you will see the name of the actual file. You will not be able to click on it. So again, please make sure that when you save this document, that you don't have several versions of it, because it'll be very difficult for you to tell just based on the name whether this is the correct document that you're uploading. So again, have a good naming system for your documents and know where you're locating them so that you know for sure that you have uploaded the correct document with the amount of pages that you need. You can always click select file and add a different document. So each one, every time you select a file, you can override this first upload, and essentially you'll be deleting it and just replacing it with the new upload. So you can definitely do that. If we scroll down, we do see that there's some information here. Notice that there's some fields that we need to enter information for. Some do have the red asterisks. That means that they're required. Some do not. Now, this one here is asking us to fill out the addendas here. Even though it's not a required field, we do see the note up here that there has been an addenda. So I'm going to go ahead and enter addenda number 1. And I'm going to go ahead and enter the date. So if you don't enter and leave it blank, it's at the agency's discretion to say whether or not this was filled out correctly and completely. So keep in mind, leaving a field blank because it's not required may still cause you some trouble with the actual solicitation. So make sure that you read that carefully and that you understand exactly what's needed. All right. Next is asking me for total base bid dollars in text. So I'm going to say this is going to be $100. Okay. And I'm going to enter a total of $100. Okay. And then it says name of bidder. So that's asking probably for my name. Now, if you have any questions about the content, in other words, what are they asking for here? What information are they expecting to see? That is a question to the actual agency. Unfortunately, our support representatives at bidexpress.com won't be able to answer that for you because we don't actually create these. The agency does. We are here to help you with the technical aspect of things. So if you ever have questions about the content or what does this question mean, what should I enter here, that's a great question to pose to the actual agency posting the solicitation, okay? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to go ahead and enter, let me get my spelling corrected here. So again, even if I don't spell things correctly, I'm going to leave it like that so that you can see here in just a moment. It's still going to tell me that the bid is actually complete. So you definitely want to make sure that you're checking for that spelling because I'm going to show you here in just a moment how to check your bid. So again, we have an item list. So if you have an item list component of, let's say, 300 items, to go here one by one and enter the actual price would take very long. So we have provided an import and an export for you. If you export it, you're going to have some choices. You can export it as CSV, tab, or XML. Once you export it, you open it up, maybe you have an estimation software, go ahead and enter pricing information. Make sure that you save it back. I know some estimation software may use column and other types. If you change it, once you save it back maybe to your desktop, make sure that you save it to the export, how you exported it. So if you exported a CSV, you'll need to import it just like you exported it. So you'll need to click the import button and select CSV. So again, make sure you make the appropriate changes to the file so that it can import successfully for you. Since this is a very small bid, I'm going to just go ahead and enter pricing information here. Okay. Let's see if I remember. I think it was 100. So yeah, we got 100. Okay. Next, we're going to do the bid bond. So here, it looks like the agency is requesting a 5% bid bond. So you can do either the bid bond. If you're doing your bid bond electronically, okay, that means that you would need to sign up with one of the surety agencies. Currently, there are two, SurePath or Surety 2000. And once you sign up with them, your bonding agent will actually partner with them, provide them the information, and they'll provide you back a bond ID number. This is, again, if you wanted to do this electronically. You would enter the bond ID number, select the surety agency, enter the surety state and principal, and you would click this green button to verify. This goes out to their servers to verify this information. If indeed it's there and it's correct, it will verify for you and you are done. However, some of our agencies still provide you the ability to do what we call a paper bond. Oops. So if you select check, you'll be able to select that you have provided a cashier's check for 5% of the bid total. Now, if you are doing the paper option, make sure again that you have reached out to the agency to see what are the rules associated with that. Most agencies will require that you FedEx a check and that it arrive at the agency's location prior to the bid opening. So again, make sure that you've called them to have that information at hand. Once we're done here, I'm going to go ahead and save my draft. A couple of things that I want you to understand when you're saving your draft. It does say your bid has been saved locally on this computer. So if I go home, I can access the account, but I'm going to actually see a blank bid, okay, because it's being saved fully encrypted locally. If you move to another computer, this bid will not be accessible and you will have to re-enter the bid. Use the export draft button to share any and all sections of this bid so it can be edited by other members of your business. So that leads me to the button that I told you I was going to talk about a little bit ahead. So let's talk about the import and export at the very top of the page. Notice that we had an import and export at the item list, but here at the very top of the page, we have the ability to actually export a draft of this bid. So if I'm going home to work on the bid, I can actually email myself a draft because it's fully encrypted. Even if somebody breaks into your email, they cannot view the solicitation. It will require them to have a digital ID and an account from the business to actually view it. So you can do that. You can select export. You will then select export draft. See these right here? These are just for the items list at the bottom. So if you do that, you're not actually exporting the entire bid. You're just exporting an item list. So we want to export draft so that we can choose the entire list. So here we can select all sections. You can also select to just one or two sections like it says if you want to send it to another team member so that they can review it for you. You can do that. So once we select everything that we want, we click export. And then it's telling me, do you want to save it? Yes, I always select the little arrow, save as. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my documents, or I'll put it on my desktop just for consistency. And the bid is called bid 6752. This is for security. It's not going to have a lot of information out there because it's fully encrypted. And I'm going to click save. So it's on my desktop. I know what the bid is called. If, again, you want to attach it to an email, feel free to do so. It is fully encrypted and secure, and that way you can share with other members that you have invited to the business. So they have to have been invited to the business, and they have to have a digital ID so that they can fully view this bid as you've entered information. Okay? Now, once they review this information, or perhaps you've asked a member of your team to give you pricing information, let's say, and they email you back the draft, what you would do is you select the import, click on import draft, and go to your desktop or wherever you saved it, because you'll have to save it somewhere on your computer from the email or what have you. And then you can locate it, click to open, and it would tell you, would you like to import the following sections? Sample agency work bid form, item list, bid bond. So let me be clear here. If by any chance this team member was only supposed to send you the item list, that means that these two, they weren't supposed to send it to you. Go ahead and click cancel. If you click OK, you are going to override your own work. So let's say that you have filled out your agency work bid form and your bid bond. Whatever they're sending you, even if it's blank, it's going to override your work. So make sure that if you're getting more than what you expected, click no, reach out to them and tell them to go ahead and export draft and only select the particular section they're responsible for. But if you're expecting the full bid, then go ahead and click OK. All right. So we've covered all these buttons up here. The delete draft is going to be deleting everything that I've just entered, of course. The last button that I want to go over is the check bid. So let's go ahead and check the bid. It's telling me that my bid is complete. If you recall, I purposely left my title spelled incorrectly. Okay. So again, it's not checking for spelling. It's just checking to make sure that the fields that require a character indeed have a character. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save Draft. Now we're ready to submit our bid. So let's go ahead and click Submit Bid. We get the I intend to submit this bid, and I acknowledge that by clicking Submit Bid, I authorize the BidXpress service to use my digital ID to sign and encrypt this bid. Most oftentimes, you're going to be in a hurry. You're not going to read this. That's okay. but I wanted to go over what it actually says. So let's click Submit Bid. And we have that your bid has been submitted successfully. If my digital ID had not been enabled by the customer support team, you will see a banner appear in red, much like this one, but it would be red telling me that I do not have an approved digital ID. Of course, we don't have that banner, which means that my ID was magically enabled while we were in conversation during our webinar, okay? And notice, most importantly, that our banner here, remember at the beginning I said we want to see it blue. So from orange, it did turn to blue. It is complete and it has been submitted. A couple of things that I do want to show you. Some folks have asked, well, what if I can't find information on a particular field and I still want to submit it with the field in blank? No worries. You can, even though it's required, if I delete information from a field, okay, and I click submit again, it's telling me this bid is incomplete. Choose OK to submit anyway. We cannot get in the middle of a business transaction between you and the agency. However, most oftentimes the agency indeed would decline a bid that's not complete. So you must call the agency if you're submitting something that's incomplete to ensure that they would accept it. I'm going to go ahead and click OK so that I can show you that you can do bid submission. I'm going to go ahead and click submit bid. And again, a couple of things that I want to point out to you. My banner went to orange, even though it says that the last submission was today at 3:09 p.m. Eastern Time. But it's incomplete, so it's not blue. And it's also pointing to where my information is missing. So if I click sample, I come up here, I can see by highlighted red that it's missing information. So I enter my information. I click submit bid, and I'm back to blue. You can submit 100 versions of this bid if you wanted to. The agency gets the last submission. Notice that when I was clicking submit bid, I never clicked withdraw. Clicking submit bid again will actually automatically withdraw the first submission, and your agency only gets the last successful submission. So we highly recommend that you submit a bid maybe 24 hours in advance just to test everything. Make sure you have good internet connection. Make sure that there isn't a firewall or anything that could be blocking you from submitting your bid. Because again, you can submit 100 times, the agency gets the last submission. I also want to show you one last tip. You see this little lock over here? It's kind of gray when I don't hover over, but now it turns to green. If I click on it, the idea behind it is when you are submitting a bid, and let's pretend we have 21 minutes instead of 21 hours, okay? This is going to be counting down to the last second. So by you locking it and you're scrolling down and you're working on your bid, it stays right at your eyesight. And you want that this way. You don't forget, my gosh, I only have 5 minutes left. I need to submit my last version of the bid. So again, make sure that you do use this if you find it helpful to ensure that you don't forget just how much time you have left, particularly as you're getting closer to that deadline. Our last step would be to actually withdraw the bid. So let's say that you guys talk together as a team and decide we're just not going to bid at all on this particular bid anymore. We have changed our mind. You can go ahead and click the withdraw bid. When you click withdraw bid, you do get asked the question. You're about to withdraw your bid. Choose OK to continue. So you're going to choose OK. And again, we are back to orange. Bid status is complete, but it's not submitted. Okay. So again, it's keeping track of all that. Every time you click the submit button, it is sending you an email to the email on the account. Every time you withdraw the bid, it also sends you an email. So again, you can, even though you withdraw, you change your mind, you can click submit bid, and it's done. Depending on how large the bid is and how many attachments you have, as you can see when I click submit bid and I click submit again after I read that little pop-up box, it's happening rather quickly. So again, you want to ensure that you have good internet connection. When you're doing attachments of uploading required documents, don't use high resolution. Also, the attachments that you upload cannot be larger than 10 megabytes. Okay, so this cannot be larger than 10 megabytes. So if I were to attach something color that was maybe 11 megabytes, I would get an error message telling me that, hey, you've exceeded the actual limit. Okay, so keep those things in mind. That way you can still have everything that's required, but have it at a minimized level so that you can quickly submit that bid and it not have it take it so long to submit. Okay, so we've covered how to register, how to invite employees, how to manage your account, how to change your employees' settings through the My Profile tab. We've covered your payment approach that you have. We've also covered the sign tool and what the digital ID is. Next, we went over how to select a solicitation for bidding. We went ahead and filled out a solicitation. We submitted a solicitation and we withdrew a solicitation. So we've covered everything that we needed to cover for today's webinar. I'm going to go ahead and unlock it right now so that again you can see the full page. A couple of things that I do want to point out: if you ever have any questions, you are again also welcome to call us, but we do have a help tab up here. It's pretty neat. It's going to go over typically it's going to land on the page that you're on, but you can search through the whole help if you have any questions. We do have some resources as well. There's a couple of tutorials available for you that you can watch that are very short and cover bid submission and bid withdrawal. And of course, you're always able to give us a call. We are happy to help. You do not need an appointment to speak to any one of our agents. We are open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, excluding legal holidays. We do have an email address, support@bidexpress.com. We also have a toll-free number. So if you dial this toll-free number, 888-352-BIDX, which is 2439. Select option 1 for vendors using BidExpress, and then option 2 for technical support, and a member of our team will be more than happy to assist you. Well, I do thank you for your time today and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.